Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of the 365 Message Center Show. This week, we, like always, have a few messages, but some of those messages that we're going to talk about in depth and explain is we're going to have the ability to read, give an example of, or tell people how they can pronounce our name and how that's going to make itself available to our coworkers in our environment. We also, coming to web and Teams, we're able to take control of presentations. That's exciting, so we'll talk about that. And you know those pesky things like files and resources? Who needs those? Well, in Viva Engage, you will be able to hide it. That and more. Stick around.
It's pesky things like files and resources.
I thought that was pretty funny. Did you laugh?
Because you were saying that ironically, weren't you?
Right, I was. Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 355. Daryl, someone was mentioning in the live show that we did. We do a live show every week, everybody, on Friday afternoons in U.S. time, Saturday morning over in APAC. APAC? Is it APAC? How do you pronounce? What do you?
APAC.
Okay, APAC.
Yeah.
We do a live show. Help us go through messages and pick which ones that we should do in this show right now. And someone mentioned, I can't remember who it was, sorry, maybe you do, that in 10 episodes, it will be episode 365 of the 365 Message Show. So we have 10 more episodes. We'll get there, and it's going to be a crazy, wild episode. Maybe. I don't know. If we plan something.
Do you have a vision for this?
I think people should help us. I think our listeners and watchers, if you have an idea of what we should do special for the 365 episode of the 365 Message Center Show, throw it in the comments. Hit us up on socials, all the socials that matter, at 365 MCS. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah. Let your imagination go wild. Who would you like to see on the show? Who are we going to get on there?
Oh,
yeah, no, that's what I'm thinking.
Invite extra people. Okay. I'm not good enough. Got it. All right.
Well,
did you like that?
Daniel.
Yes.
I want to talk about some developments around Outlook because I feel that the Outlook is fine for today with rain in the afternoon. No, okay. This one is, I guess, the Outlook is good for those of us who are using our Outlook.com email addresses and wanting to combine things. New Outlook for Windows. Add Microsoft accounts with non-Microsoft email addresses. MC 915492. If you have an email address from gmail.com, or maybe you've taken your own domain name and you've signed up for a Microsoft account, then this will allow you to add that into the new Outlook for Windows. Actually, in this message too, it mentions another scenario, Daniel, where maybe you have signed up to use Microsoft Copilot Pro, the personal subscription of Copilot. Get a Microsoft account using a non-Microsoft email address, then you'll be able to add these in to Outlook. This is it's a short message, but it's expanding on that ability that we currently have with the classic Outlook. You can add any email address there that you want. It's good to see that it's coming into the new Outlook.
One thing that we'll say... That is like Gmail or any other kind, but it's also personalized emails accounts, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Like
Daniel,
your name.
Glenn.com.
Yeah. Ooh.
Nobody grabbed that right now, by the way.
Yeah, hold on.
Daniel's currently in negotiation, and he's given his top price for it. Yeah. So there's is targeted release mid-November and complete by mid-December, and general availability worldwide mid-December, complete by mid-January. Now, there's a few things that I want to infer in this next message, Daniel, and I believe that's the whole purpose of a segue, is to infer something without actually saying what it is. So,
Copilot inference and evaluation, MC916990. So Copilot, when you're in a Teams meeting, can give you responses about things, helpful responses, things like what has been said up to this point because I haven't been paying attention, or can you summarize, the action points so far. But you can also ask questions that may be really around the idea of how someone is presenting, what's their tone, how are they feeling about things or whatever. And that's kind of that, Copilot inferring, taking clues as to what's been said and inferring things. Well, now there's a policy going to be rolled out. IT admins will be able to block Copilot responses that might infer emotions or make evaluations, personal traits, which I think it's interesting. I don't necessarily know what that means. Does Sally have, yellow hair or blonde hair? I'm not going to tell you that, Dave. I don't know what that personal traits mean, but this policy will restrict it. And it shows in the screenshot that one example here is, how's Serena feeling about this meeting? And Copilot would respond saying, well, I can't do that. Based on organization's policy, it prevents me from doing that. So this is, I think, one of those tweaking type of messages, or not messages, but features. The policy, I guess, is the feature of just tweaking Copilot so it fits. It marries with your organization's way of doing business. That may be something that's just not acceptable, to make that available. So this could be something, if that's the way your company works, then maybe you wouldn't want that. Some companies may want that, right? Some organizations may want the ability to have their people have Copilot infer, how people are feeling. I don't know.
Evaluate your boss as they're delivering something during the meeting. Oh no, that's terribly rude.
Well, see, that's the question I have, and you joked about it. I don't know if it was on the live show or not, but how is Joe doing with this presentation? Or is Joe in a bad mood? Or, is Joe doing a great job at his job? I don't know. Are those things that I haven't tried those. Maybe I should try those in my team's meetings.
What tips would you give Joe to be a better leader as he's leading this meeting? Nice. I mean, it's between myself and Copilot, so it's right. Private, but sure. This is turning this ability off.
Yeah. General availability worldwide begin rolling out early November, so soon, and expect to be completed by early December 2024. Daryl, I think we need to stay on Copilot, but there was a some would say pretty big announcement about Copilot this week, and we have a message in the message center about it. Tell us all about it.
Yeah. So this was during the event over in London. It was the AI. It wasn't Summit. What do we call these again? Roadshow. Roadshow at London. Yeah, and Microsoft had Satya and Jared, and they were telling us all about the release of agents and Copilot and general availability. This message is specifically Copilot agents in SharePoint rolling to targeted release. And that's MC916296. Now, this is when if you have permission to do so, you have access to the site, you have permission to access these documents, you can create a agent for the site that you have access to, and that will narrow and scope or ground the results to that content within that site. This is, in my opinion, probably more impactful than trying to take a bite of the whole organization. At the moment, we've got challenges where organizations have to do a lot of tidy up, and data and responses from internal or work queries in Copilot maybe not as reliable. But when you can point it towards a source that you've worked on, you're scoping it down to the document library and the site, then you're going to be more confident for those results. Daniel, I like this. What do you think about? Can you think of a few sites already where you might add a Copilot agent?
Yes, absolutely. In what you're talking about there of really focusing on the type of document or the type of questions and the type of things that your workers are trying to get done, and making sure that it isn't, let's just be honest, every organization has content all over the place, which is fine, but some of that stuff may be old and we don't want Copilot using it to answer questions. Things like benefits or whatever, help documentation. I mean, the list goes on, but I think this having these agents in SharePoint really will give us that focus, like you said, so that we can be confident that when the user gets the response, it will be based on the content that we know is to be true. So I think the more confidence we as organizations can have in Copilot, the more that we will actually be using it. And this is a great way.
So in this initial release, there are some limitations. It won't include using the Copilot agent in Teams chat or meeting chat, but we expect to see something like that in the future. It's the story we've seen with a lot of the Copilot developments, that it's great and strong in the core place where it's been built, so it will work great within SharePoint if you're going to a site and running that query from a Copilot chat there. But it'll take a little bit longer for them to connect the pipes to bring that experience to wherever Copilot is used. Targeted release will begin rolling out late October, so next week. Or now-ish, right? Okay. And expected to be complete by early November, and general availability worldwide will begin rolling out late November and expected to be complete late December. Now, a standard message. I expect that we can go into this in a bit more depth, Daniel, because everything has been quick mentions so far. I want to hear, and I want you to, really pronounce the message behind this.
Okay. Microsoft Teams and Microsoft Outlook. Name pronunciation on the profile card. MC917748. So for those people who may have an odd name, maybe your middle name is Azza.
That's not very nice. Odd name.
Or as opposed to even.
Yeah.
Okay. You're right. I was trying to make fun of you, because I said Azza, because you did Daryl Azza service. Anyway, sorry about that, people that have names that get often. Now, I will say,
I'm just staring, Daniel.
But I will say I am a victim of name botchery. Butchery?
How?
Let's not talk about it.
How can you get your name wrong?
Please, let's not talk about it.
Right.
It cuts deep. But what we're going to be able to do as us users, we're going to be able to record a pronunciation of our name, and that will show up in Outlook and Teams. So when people are looking at your card, at your your profile card to see, how they're interacting with you, how to connect with you. They're going to see that there is an explanation, a pronunciation next to your name, so they can listen to you say your name, and so there's no mistaking, or they can get closer to name. Last week, a week from today, past, it was very funny. I was at an event. It wasn't a community event or anything. It was a different type of event, and I was talking to these people, and they're like, I bet my name's going to get mispronounced. And sure enough, it got mispronounced in front of everybody. And you know what? This would have prevented that if they had recorded how they pronounce their name. Then could have done a better job. So I think, and this, okay, I'll give this funny anecdote. When I first saw this message, I thought of those days, and there's going to be some people that listen and watch this show and go, I don't know what Daniel's talking about at all. But back in the day, they had these things that were telephones that were centrally located throughout the world. And telephones. So not in your pocket, but they were actually installed on the wall or in a box that was like a booth.
Like a TARDIS?
Kind of like that, yeah. And you could go to that, and you could make calls from that by putting change in there. But if you didn't have any money, you can make these things called collect calls. I know. So in essence, it charged the other person who was receiving the call. But it asked you for your name, so you could go, Mom, I'm headed home. I'll be there in 15 minutes. And then so when your mother got the message to say, do you accept a collect call from Mom, I'm headed home and I'll be there in 15 minutes. So I don't know why it just made me chuckle when I was thinking that, because you could do my name is pronounced Daniel Glenn and SharePoint is spelled with a capital P. I don't know if that's your thing. Maybe you wanted to.
Promo
so
message.
But it might be interesting, Daryl. All of that to say, I definitely rabbit hole, but all that to say, I'm interested to see how this plays out, because I don't think there's going to be any policing on this. So, I don't think there's going to be any kind of system going, wait a minute, that's not, you didn't actually pronounce your name. You sang a song, or, whatever. It was your cat going.
You could get quite creative, couldn't you?
Right. It depends on how long it is, but,
Today's proverb.
Right. So, I don't know. What do you think? What are your thoughts?
No, I think you could have some fun with it. In fact, it inspires me to do so. I think I'll do it at work here with all the people at Modern Work Mentor and see what they think. But I also like the point that you raised where, okay, we can listen and go, oh, that's how you pronounce the name. But if someone has a heavy accent, you were saying that even then, you might still struggle, like a really heavy rolling of the R from someone in Scotland. Can you pronounce it that way, or no?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think if you are doing a pronunciation of your name, slow down and think of the receiver. Think of the person who's receiving this, how, if you're doing it, then maybe it's been a problem in your organization, people mispronouncing your name. So do a good job to the point of think of the receiver, slow down a little bit, and so that when they practice it, they can really get it. That's kind of the whole point, is that they say your name properly, right?
Yes.
So at the bottom, there's a couple of interesting things on this message. And I'll talk about the really interesting thing. There's a hashtag for some reason at the very bottom. Hashtag new Outlook for Windows. Why would you put a hashtag in a message? I don't know. I really don't understand that one. And then the second thing to point out is that this feature is off by default. So, and I was a little conflicted about that. I kind of like it though, because then it is something you can help train your users and maybe maybe you do need a policy, a use policy of you can only use this to pronounce your name. You can't have a proverb like Daryl wants to use.
It's got to be a 10-second proverb.
Right. So just know that it's off by default. You do have to enable the feature. There's instructions there, but they're saying that they will update this post with revised documentation when it does roll out. So just know that it does work. I think it's beta is what I want to say. Like, it does work in that way. So, all right. We have discussed that, we've done some rabbit holes. We've, I think we've beaten that dead horse. I don't know.
We've made it into a standard message.
We've definitely made it through a standard message. Let's switch back though to quick, because
Quick.
And you know what should be quick? Taking control of presentations in Teams.
Look, it's one of those messages where you've just said it. Ta-da! It's in the title. Microsoft Teams users can take control during screen sharing on the web. MC 915486. It is what it is. But we would like to mention a couple of helpful use cases about where this would be useful. If you've had to join a meeting and you're presenting along with a co-presenter, but you've had to join from a web browser because maybe you don't have your laptop, you're using another machine from another environment or something, maybe you have to join a meeting via a web browser. And it is helpful to be able to control the screen on the other side if you're co-presenting. So you don't have to do that switcheroo of, I'll present the screen and then you present the screen and all that friction. The other thing that it opens up is the ability to offer desktop support, and you might be jumping in via a web browser and you can control the screen on the other side. So that's what it is. Really not too many comments beyond that to expand on, but a targeted release will begin rolling out early December and complete by mid-December. General availability worldwide, GCC High, DoD. Oh yeah. We will begin rolling out mid-January 2025 and complete by late January 2025. I found that quite engaging, Daniel, to, as though I rolled off with all of those different GCC High. But I want you to come up with something engaging.
Well, maybe I'll create a file, or maybe not. Viva, Microsoft Viva Engage, Community Settings for Community Resources and Files tab, MC917752. So in your community, inside Viva Engage, you're able to have resources with links off to things, as well as a files tab that shows files that are maybe, that's uploaded, that's shared, that you want to make available inside the community. We know that it's stored in SharePoint in the back end. This is actually giving us the capability of the admins, the capability for your community to actually toggle that off, so that if you don't want those resources, you want to focus on, and I think, Daryl, you mentioned that to me, this is kind of like, you want to focus on discussion. You don't want to focus on this being a resource center of stuff. Come here for the files, come here for the links, blah, blah, blah. It's just, I want to focus on the discussion or questions and answers, or whatever the purpose is of the community. So you can hide if you want to, or maybe if it's hidden already, someone did that, you can unhide the community resources and files tab by going to the settings. And then, as you see in the second screenshot there, you can do the toggle for community resources so it won't show in the community. And then you can untoggle for files. So it will remove the files tab for the community, so it won't show those files that are in the little p SharePoint. So I have to mention that screenshot shows, and maybe that's what it is in Viva Engage, and if it is, come on, people. Capital P. That, I think that should be the chant. Like, they should have a team or a working group meeting for all of the people that work in the modern work experiences in Microsoft, and that should be the chant.
I think they should be doing lines on the board in front of the rest of the development group. Like, if
I will not spell SharePoint with that.
Right. Yeah, I will not spell SharePoint.
So, yeah. So anyway, I'm not going to go too in depth about a conversation here on this, on whether you should use this or not. I will say, I think there are situations where you would want to do this. Focus on the conversation. Focus on, what you're trying to accomplish. As far as, maybe this is your brainstorming area, or maybe it really isn't for a small community. It's a bigger community, so you don't really want those things. I don't know. For every organization, I think the reasoning could be different of why you would want to hide these. Maybe you want to push them to somewhere else. I don't know. Daryl, if you have any ideas of why you want, and you don't have to turn them both off, right? You could say, maybe we want resources, but we don't want to show the files tab, right? We don't want people thinking they should come here for files. Our file management should be elsewhere. And so we want people to discuss here, not sharing file. I don't know. I don't know. Do you have any thoughts or ideas, examples?
I don't know if it's a leadership-focused community that's about engaging with that community and the leadership. Maybe it's also Q&A focused. It is literally hiding files. So if you are uploading and attaching photos or video or whatever, the files are still going to be there, sitting in SharePoint, still manageable. It's just you won't have to or have the ability to go in and peruse them from a file structure perspective.
Yep. General availability worldwide. Begin rolling out late October 2024, so nowish, and expected to be completed by mid-November 2024. That is the show. Thank you, everyone, for watching and listening. Please share out this episode. Right, Daryl? We want people to share out on the socials, on the bulletin board at work, in your team's messages. Put it in your signature on your signature line at work. Watch this show. Put 365mcs.com. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Please share out the episode. We'd greatly appreciate that, so more people can see and participate in the conversation. Speaking of conversation, do that in the comments down below or on socials at 365MCS.
And we'll see you again next week. Bye for now.